So actually what had happened Tuesday night at about 11:30 over in the area of Family Fair on 25th Street South. Lady was approached by a male on foot, and he pulled a knife on her, wanted money from her, and luckily she wasn't injured in that situation. He fled in a vehicle at that point. And the second incident happened roughly around 2:50 later on that night. And in that situation, we had a cab driver that had a gun pulled on him by someone who thought was going to be a passenger. In that situation, some cash was taken, and then that suspect fled as well. It was probably, not really sure what time of night, but because of the time length between those two robberies, it wasn't real clear initially that those were connected until a couple of the sergeants on the shift started to take a look at that, and they decided to call in our detectives. And right around that same time, we were notified that Moorhead had an incident, and then we realized that we probably had something bigger developing here.
So the first incident, at that point, was Mr. Sparkman on foot, or did he get out of the car and approach the woman? Because you said he got away in the car. Kind of how did that incident kind of transpire to your knowledge?
Yeah, the first one, the way we understood it was there was a car involved. The second one, there was a call made for the cab to come pick up somebody. And so as far as we know, when that suspect fled from the cab, he was on foot. Now, whether or not he went to a vehicle somewhere else, we don't really know that. But that was the circumstance with that one.
He got some money in that case?
Yes.
And that was also a Doyle's cab, according to Moorhead Police?
Yes.
Okay. Can you say how much he got?
No, not. We don't want to give out those details just for the integrity of the case. So.
Oh, totally understand. So kind of, and I don't know if these are other details you can. So he calls the cab. Mm-hmm. This Mr. Sparkman live at this address where the cab was summoned, or?
Well, again, that'd be a detail that we really don't want to release the specifics on right now, okay. And we're still trying to put some of that together.
Did he ever get into the cab? Did they start going anywhere, or did he basically rob him?
No, there was a short conversation between him and the driver. Really no indication that anything was going to be abnormal about that stop or that fare until he demanded money from the driver.
Right. But they were still basically at that same spot. They never really went anywhere.
Yeah.
The first incident, did he basically just approach the woman at random? Did he jump out of a bush or just kind of walk up to her on the sidewalk? Or where?
Well, there's some details there that, again, we're not releasing because of the investigation. But they didn't know each other. We know that. As to exactly how she was chosen as the target, again, that's something we're looking at in our investigation.
Right. But nothing, she screamed and he drove away. They got in the car and just drove away.
Right.
Okay. Was he walking at the time, or did he literally just pop out of the car, throw a knife in it?
There was some indication that she was a little suspicious of something maybe happening. So she was a little bit on alert, and I think that maybe helped her in that situation. But I think the fact too that she screamed and alerted, they're actually inside her apartment building at that point. And so the fact that she screamed and frightened him away likely definitely kept her from losing any personal belongings, but also helped her from getting hurt too.
Right, and then how soon was it that Fargo PD then joined this Moorhead homicide investigation? Did they alert you, or did you alert them saying, hey, we actually had this?
Right, well, it took, I believe their call was right around 4:30 in the morning.
3:30, yeah.
Yeah, and it took some time. We sent our detective in to start looking at our robberies at around 4:30, and then once we got contacted by Moorhead, we got our detective and their detective paired up almost immediately. So we started to share information and work together on that. As soon as we kind of put everything together, there was some connection.
Right. Were you guys familiar with Mr. Sparkman at all, or?
Mr. Sparkman had a record with us, yes. So we definitely knew who he was, and yeah, somebody we've dealt with in the past.
Right. Okay. I think that's. How are you able to identify, who identified him as a suspect first in these cases, Fargo PD or Moorhead PD?
Well, really, probably a big factor in this whole investigation was our intel unit. That's their job. They do a crime analysis, and they kind of look at what's going on in the city, and they help us put names to things, and just they know all those connections. And they really were the ones that helped put this whole thing together and help us connect the dots. And luckily we were able to identify who that suspect was and get this solved.
Were you, I don't know if this is detail you can release regarding, obviously if he called a cab, summoned a cab, was there a cell phone number to be, or a phone number to be traced back to either Mr. Sparkman or
Right, yeah, again, that'd be one of those details that we wouldn't want to share at this point, so.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you, Acting